Friends, today's lecture is on principles of learning and their implications in teaching, steps in extension teaching. Introduction. Learning is the cognitive process of acquiring skill or knowledge, and teaching is the activities of educating or instructing, activities that impart knowledge or skill. Thus, systematic learning teaching process involves a disseminator of knowledge and students who receive the knowledge and skills. Students are the learners who are the recipient of knowledge and skill, and in agricultural extension, farmers are the learners, and in most of the cases, extension agents take up the role of teachers, disseminators. This lecture focuses on understanding the concept of learning, especially in the context of extension education, transfer of learning, basic characteristics of learning in extension, principles of learning, procedures for effective teaching in extension work, implication of teaching process for extension work, and steps in extension teaching. Concept of learning. Learning is the process of acquisition of knowledge or skills through study, experience, or being taught. In common parlance, learning is essentially regarded as a response to a teaching situation. Learning is the process by which one becomes changed in behavior, skills, understanding, interest, and appreciation as a result of his experience. The essence of learning is to systematically acquire knowledge and experience. In the educational curriculum presently followed in India after the adoption of the New Education Policy 1986, modified in 1992, learning and teaching are regarded as two sides of the same coin. In such an understanding, a learner is no longer regarded as a passive agent but an active participant in his own education. In educational psychology, there are many different perspectives on learning. Generally, 7 major ways of learning that take place in individuals are agreed upon by educational psychologists. Number 1, conditioning. This is when learning takes place through the establishment of a connection between a stimulus and a response, referred to as conditioning. Number 2, trial and error. When an individual is faced with a problem, he discovers a solution by trial and error. This procedure takes a long time and it is not efficient. Number 3, problem solving. This procedure involves the use of the product of the previous learning experiences when faced with a problem. It also involves higher mental processes such as reasoning, concept formation, and testing a hypothesis. Number 4, training. Training is similar to conditioning. It is especially useful in skills, habits, and attitudes development. There is considerable use of rewards and punishment during training for success and failure, respectively. Number 5, insight learning. German psychologist Wolfgang Kohler developed this concept in 1902. Insight learning is the abrupt realization of a problem's solution. Insight learning is not the result of trial and error responding to an environmental stimulus or the result of observing someone else attempting the problem. It is a completely cognitive experience that requires the ability to visualize the problem and solution internally in the mind's eye, so to speak, before initiating a behavioral response. Number 6, imitation. This implies copying and following a pattern of behavior without much reasoning. Opinions and beliefs expressed by leaders and books are adopted quickly by many people. Number 7, memorization. This is learning without understanding, but attempt is made to commit everything under focus to memory verbatim. Transfer of learning in extension. Transfer of learning takes place when an idea in one situation is used in another. An extension agent is concerned with the transfer of the learning because when the agent teaches an idea to a farmer, the learning situation, for example, a demonstration or field trip, is not the same situation as that on the farm or the farmer. Learning should not be the compartmentalization of learned matter. The transfer may be knowledge, skill, idea, and attitude from one situation to another. Transfer of learning can be achieved in 4 ways. Number 1, encourage the learner to look for similarities in various situations. Number 2, encourage learner to apply the ideas in other similar situations. Number 3, encourage learner to generate principles personally rather than being told, allowing the learner to discover similarities and principles. Number 4, discourage memorization of data or content of learning process by the learner. Lay more emphasis on understanding and application of ideas. Basic characteristics of learning in extension. Learning in extension are required to lay down the foundation for planning and executing extension outreach programs. Some of the basic characteristics are being discussed. Number 1, learning should enable the learners to be able to solve problems. This is attained by relating new terms and knowledge to that which the learners already knows. That is, there should be a connection between familiar and unfamiliar concepts. Number 2, learning is facilitated when 2 or more senses are used by the learners, farmers. While in the process, there should be a variety of learning activities to use more of our senses. Number 3, learning is more effective where the learner actively participates. The learner is more active when he realizes that learning goals are not forced on him. Number 4, learning is affected by physical and social environments. The general physical environment should be suitable to the kind of learning taking place and to the activities selected for the learning situation. The extension worker or teacher should recognize and use the effect of the social environment on learning. Principles of learning in extension. There are guidelines of factors to be considered by extension workers in instructional processes. Number 1, learning is growth-like and continuous. Its growth depends on the past experiences of the learner. For example, a farmer knows that pests reduce yield or production. The next step is identifying if they know about pest control on their farms, and from there introduce the use of pesticides. Relate new ideas to the old as this increases effectiveness. Ideas to be learned should be brought to the attention of the learners repeatedly. Number 2, learning is purposeful. Learning is purposeful when it makes sense to the learner. Help farmers to fix achievable goals through helpful activities such as through demonstration, field trip, and other activities to satisfy needs. Number 3. Learning is challenging. Learning is challenging, thus the extension worker or teacher must help the learner to build a mental picture of himself in new situation. It is more effective if it is more appropriate and timely, and recognition is given to the learner's achievements. Number 4. Learning is effective if it results in fundamental understanding. Memorizing is useless unless there is practical application. Activity that stimulates the actual situation is most effective, and there must be need for information. Number 5. Learning is influenced by the social or physical environment. The instructor should see that the physical conditions are appropriate and the learner has no fear. Number 6. Gradual process. Usually, it requires several exposures before change is observed. For effective learning, several exposures are to be made to get over each point. Number 7. Learning is an active process. The learner is an active, behaving, exploratory individual, and learning results from the activities of the individual. Learning also results from the activities of the individual learner. It is what he does when he learns. Skills, the learner must practice them. Facts, the learner must relate them. Attitudes, he must change them. Implication of teaching process for extension work. Procedure for effective teaching is complementary to implication for effective extension work. Number 1. Arrange and use equipment that will enable all the audience to see clearly what is going on. Number 2. Adults comprehend spoken words better than a written word at every speed of presentation. Number 3. Start with the present interests and needs or problems of the group. Number 4. Present topic step by step in logical sequence. That is, teaching one thing at a time. Number 5. Employ or use every possible practical device to show relationship of ideas and materials. Number 6. Repeat frequently ideas to be sold to the group. Number 7. Make physical surroundings comfortable and attractive. Number 8. Always endeavor to have them live in a spirit of accomplishment and desire for more. Number 9. A good summary of the content, giving what was attempted, what was accomplished, what is yet to be done, is always essential. But most important of all, a rapport has to be created in teaching, learning process. But most important of all, a rapport has to be created in teaching learning process. A teacher is a guide only, and methods of acquiring skills are planned by him. A conducive situation for self-learning creates better relationship between the teacher and the people. Instead of supplying information, the teacher has to make a situation for the learner to acquire knowledge, which has to be developed to understanding level, application level, and to the level of creating positive attitudes. Steps in extension teaching. The extension worker is a teacher. He is continually working to bring about desirable changes in human behavior. If he is to meet success in his efforts, he must understand and follow logical steps in teaching. Number 1. Getting the attention of the learners. Most farmers are quite unaware of the great improvement in farming methods that have been developed by scientific research and how the employment of these methods can make farming so much profitable. The first duty of an extension worker as a teacher is to direct the attention of the farmer to the newer methods of farming suggested by research source. Number 2. Stimulating the learner's interest. When the farmer's attention has been directed to the newer methods, the next step is to appeal to the interest by showing him how the new method may be of value to him, how it may serve labor or increase his yield and profit. Number 3. Arousing the learner's desire for information. When the attention of the farmer has been directed to a new method and his interest aroused in a way or possibility that his new method may be of direct value in meeting his demand, the farmers will want to get all possible information on how the new method may be used to his advantage. Number 4. Convincing the learner that he should act. An extension teacher has directed the attention of a farmer to a new method. He has stimulated his interest, supplied him with all information on the new method into operation. When a farmer, through the above steps, have become convinced that the new method will lead him to profit and satisfaction for himself, this is not difficult to do. Number 5. Action by learner. Teaching is without value unless converted into action. The extension teacher must do everything possible to make action easy. If the improvement requires fertilization or an insecticide or new equipment, the extension worker must take the responsibility of arranging for its purchase by the farmer at a convenient source and at a fair price. The farmer by himself cannot do this, and he will not act if there are obstacles in the way of action. Number 6. Make certain that the learner derives satisfaction from his action. The extension worker has follow-up job. He must help the learner evaluate the progress made, measure and increase yield, and strengthen the satisfaction obtained. A farmer that meets a want by the successful application of a new method becomes a local learner in influencing his neighbors to satisfy their wants by following the same practice, and he finds prestige and satisfaction in teaching and helping them. Also, when a farmer has used a new method and realized profit and satisfaction from it, he gains confidence in his own ability to learn and is ready to try other new methods. Conclusion. Learning is the cognitive process of acquiring skill or knowledge. In extension work, learners are adult farmers who receive knowledge from the extension agent. Therefore, the aim of teaching learning process is to equip the farmers with new knowledge, technology, and a method of agricultural activities. As different from other learners, these set of people are the experienced ones who have practical knowledge about their field, that is, farming and related problems. At times, such practical knowledge is so ingrained in their own mindset that an unlearning process is required while imparting new ideas, knowledge, and skills so that the learner becomes receptive. With this notion, an extension agent needs to undertake the task of teaching in an interesting, practical, and methodological manner.